Hey everybody, it's Monday, December 19th, 2022. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. Try the Subway Series menu, your pick of 12 irresistible subs. It's me, your man MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and the specialist, cast of dozens that was put on this show each and every day, each and every week. Not only do they help us put on this show, they throw a pretty good holiday party too.
Oh man, they do.
They really
Friday
do.
was a fun time.
You know, shout out to Christy Stapleton, Sean Kelly, who emceed it and lost his voice in the process, but a good time was had by all this past Friday night. Hopefully a good time was had by you in your fantasy playoffs this past week. There is still one more game to be played in Week 15, the Monday Nighter between the Packers and the Rams. But after this, how you feeling about the way your teams came out?
On Saturday, I literally thought my fantasy seasons were going to be completely over, but then Sunday happened, and I ended up coming out more on top than I did having teams get eliminated this week.
Yeah, I think I'm doing okay in the playoffs that I'm still in. I'll have to go back and check and make sure that nothing weird happens tonight to potentially boot me out of it, but I'm feeling okay about a lot of things. We will, of course, because it is a Monday, give you our 5 biggest takeaways from the weekend. We'll have some waiver wire targets for those of you who are still contesting your postseasons. I have mattered movers as well. Plus, we'll spin things ahead to 2023. We know for a lot of you, your fantasy season might be over, so we'll look ahead to next year and play a little bit of real or mirage with what we have seen in recent weeks. But let's start, as we always do, with some fantasy headlines. Big news out of Philadelphia. Tom Pelissero is reporting Jalen Hurts sprained his throwing shoulder in the third quarter Sunday against the Bears. Now, the injury isn't considered long-term, but Hurts' playing status for Saturday's game against the Cowboys is in doubt. So if Jalen Hurts misses the game, I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're not starting Gardner Minshew. But what does this mean for the rest of Philadelphia's playmakers?
It's not great. I mean, Gardner Minshew is obviously a big downgrade in a really tough matchup against the Cowboys. A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown, so he is still always in play. Devonta Smith kind of becomes a boomer bust, a wild card option, I would say. Dallas Goedert maybe could return in time, but I don't know if I would be gearing up to get him into my lineup this week. Miles Sanders, I guess, would still be in play. My bigger question is, like, if he suffered this in the third quarter, why were you still running him? Why weren't you using Miles Sanders? Why weren't you thinking about the fantasy players who need Jalen Hurts this week?
Nick Sirianni, you've been on our side all year long, and now you let us down in the biggest spot of the year. But no, seriously, let's see. Hopefully this is not a long-term issue, as they suggest, and that he's back really soon. But I'm with you. A.J. Brown's the guy you start. Everybody else is very much up in the air. At this point, you really are sort of trying to make your best gut decision based on the matchups here. I would stay away from Dallas Goedert. I'd be very leery about Miles Sanders. Devonta Smith is kind of the guy you flip a coin and you sort of live or die with the decision there. Ian Rappaport is reporting that Jonathan Taylor suffered a high ankle sprain versus the Vikings on Saturday. JT had just one touch before leaving the game. Now, Rap Sheet says Taylor is still meeting with doctors, but it's considered highly unlikely that he will play again this season. We'll certainly dive into some waiver wire options to help you in case you lost Jonathan Taylor. But with him out, who's the guy in Indianapolis? Is it Zach Moss, who got a whole lot of work, or is it Deion Jackson?
I think it'll be a split of the two. I think Zach Moss will lead the way on the ground. That's what we saw this past week. He played 2/3 of the snaps in that game. He had 24 carries and 1 target. Deion Jackson played 1/3 of the snaps, but he had 13 carries and 1 target. This was a game where the Colts were playing from ahead throughout, though. I don't expect that to be the case week in and week out. So if they're trailing, I still think Deion Jackson is the pass-catching specialist, the one that can get you the points, because Matt Ryan is going to dump the ball off a whole bunch. But I think Zach Moss will lead on the ground. So really, both are kind of in play for fantasy, but obviously neither one is going to give you what Jonathan Taylor was giving you.
They were playing from ahead until they weren't. Of course, what happened on Saturday, the Colts famously lost a 33-0 halftime lead, coughing up the biggest lead in NFL history as the Vikings came back to win in overtime. But I'm with you. I think Zach Moss is sort of the guy who's the straight ahead, kind of between the tackles runner. Deion Jackson's that change of pace, pass catching back there. So I think we're going to see a split there. Although I will say that the schedule the next couple of weeks for the Colts is fairly running back friendly. So we'll see how this works out for both of those guys. That turns us to the biggest takeaways from the week, the 5 things that Florio and I learned collectively. And what was the first thing you came away with from this weekend?
The Jacksonville Jaguars have arrived. Like, not only in the sense of like they're playing great football, like they are a game back of their division right now, and they still play the Tennessee Titans, and they have the easier schedule of the two teams. Like this could be a playoff team at the end of the year, but Trevor Lawrence right now is playing absolutely great football, and watching him yesterday and the last couple of weeks, it's by far the most comfortable he has looked at the NFL level. Not just going through his progressions and the throws he's making, but throwing defenders off his back, keeping plays alive with his legs, even running more. He just looks like the guy he looked like in Clemson. Zay Jones has been great. Evan Ingram has been great. Christian Kirk has been great. So much so, Marcus, that I made a poll on Twitter this morning. Would you start Trevor Lawrence against the Jets on TNF? And running away with it right now is a yes. Like people are, and spoiler alert, I'm probably going to have him as a start and start sit.
Look, this was the test for me, was against this Cowboys defense. And what I saw from him in the previous week showed up again this week, in that when pressure's coming, he's finding a way to buy himself time, to get out of the pocket, to throw off platform, and be effective with it. Now, he did get away with a couple of things, no doubt about it, but he was still better, than he was not good, if that makes any sense. So I'm definitely with you, and the Jaguars have really shown up, and they look like the team that I think people thought they could be when they drafted Trevor Lawrence. In Kansas City, the Chiefs have two usable running backs. We have spent all this time debating, should it be Isaiah Pacheco? Should it be Jerick McKinnon? And the answer is yes. And, the last couple of weeks, we have seen both of them play really heavy snap shares. It's actually been, I think, over the last 3 weeks, McKinnon at 55%, and it's been Pacheco at about 41 or 42%. So they're both on the field quite a bit. Now, Pacheco is definitely more of the running back, with McKinnon getting a lot more of the targets. Their ceilings have been certainly different. McKinnon over the last few weeks is averaging about 20-plus points a game, whereas Pacheco is around 12 or 15. But the point being, they both got stable floors. They can be used in certain situations, and they play in an offense that is going to score points. Throw in the fact that you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire tweeting about hanging out in a duck blind and losing connection to not see the end of the Chiefs-Texans game. Look, as long as it stays a two-man rotation here, I don't think we have much to worry about here.
Yeah, and Pacheco looks like a guy you could start as like an RB2 or whatever. Jerick McKinnon looks like a league winner potentially, getting he's been their top receiver in 2 straight games. It's wild.
It's been amazing because Travis Kelce is obviously the number one target in the offense, but it's been Juju Smith-Schuster and Jerick McKinnon kind of battling it out for that second spot. What else have you learned from the weekend?
That Justin Fields is officially matchup proof. And I wrote about him as a start last week, and we were getting a bunch of questions, at least I was on Twitter, like, oh, they're playing the Eagles. They allow the fewest points to quarterbacks. Can we start Justin Fields? And I told everyone who asked me, yes. And I started Justin Fields everywhere that I had him, and he went out and he rushed for over 70 yards for a 5th straight game. He broke Lamar Jackson's quarterback record. That is now the longest streak by a quarterback. But he scored 23.5 fantasy points against the Eagles, and it could have been a better game because he had that touchdown run where it would have been the run of the year, in my opinion. He just stepped out of bounds. If that's a rushing touchdown, we're talking about him approaching 30 fantasy points against the Eagles. I think this was the last box to check. We know to start him every week. We know his ceiling is super high, but can he do it against one of, if not the best defenses in football? He went out without his top 2 receivers and did it. So yeah, never even consider benching Justin Fields. Start him each and every week.
It'll be amazing to see what happens if the Bears get him some actual receivers to work with going forward, but he's been amazing for a long stretch this season. Speaking of receivers, I want to thank the Cardinals wide receivers for their service in 2022 because I think it might be a wrap for them at this point. That's DeAndre Hopkins. It's Marquise Brown. If we see Rondale Moore again, it includes him as well. Look, Kyler Murray was enough to keep those guys going. And even Colt McCoy, you felt like maybe there was still some hope. McCoy leaves the game against Denver on Sunday with a concussion. He's going to be in the protocol. We'll see whether or not he's available for this week, although I'm skeptical at this point. Trace McSorley is the guy who stepped in there. And McSorley in his time went 7 for 15 for, I believe, 91 yards and a couple of interceptions. It feels really hard to start any Cardinals receivers for the rest of the year. This offense has just collapsed. The Cardinals officially eliminated from postseason contention, which, by the way, it's the second straight year that in-season Hard Knocks has just, their subject matter has fallen apart in their hands like so much sand on a beach. maybe you start Nuke and you hope for the best. You hope that the floor stays relatively stable. But I'm very terrified of having to start any Cardinals right now.
Yeah, I think that would be my approach. Like, I would start D-Hop probably unless I had another good option. But, like, Marquise Brown is someone that I have in multiple leagues, and I'm considering dropping him because I'm like, I don't see myself starting him again. Unfortunately, I think James Conner, too, might be someone you have to start.
Yeah.
But you don't have to love it.
Yeah, I think Connor gets some value just because they may lean on him a little bit more. Short passes, running the ball, that might help him a little bit. Speaking of running the ball and throwing short passes, you got one more.
Alvin Kamara, man, the Saints are ruining him. Doesn't stop you from starting him next week against the Cleveland Browns, though, because I think this is kind of what we can expect from Alvin Kamara here. He had 21 carries, which is, like, great, but just 2 targets. And this is what continues to be the thing for Alvin Kamara. Like, we haven't seen his upside in so long because outside of 1 week, he doesn't have a touchdown this season. And then, I mean, in that 1 week, he had multiples, so that kind of came through for you. But they're not throwing him the ball really much either. Like, 2 targets yesterday, 3 the week before. He has a couple of games here and there where he'll get 5+ sprinkled in, but for the most part, it's been low volume in the passing game. And 12.4 fantasy points against the Falcons, like, sure, that's a solid game, but, like, I think we anticipated a much, much larger number.
We anticipated a huge number. By the way, we are coming up on the anniversary of his 6 touchdown game, which happened on Christmas Day. So that's coming up, and man, I long for those days with Alvin Kamara. We are a ways away from that. We are a ways away from the end of the show. We're just getting started here. We're going to come back, talk about some top performers and the things that you all did wrong that probably bounced you from your fantasy playoffs. That's next on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. Top performers for Week 15, Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things, nearly 36 fantasy points, and that's with a lost fumble. Could have been even more had he held onto the football. Jerick McKinnon continuing to stay hot, 34.2 points for him. Zay Jones going ballistic, 6 catches for $109 and 3 touchdowns. That was nearly 35 points. George Kittle with a pair of touchdowns going back to Thursday night. They got you over 25 points. And despite gagging up a 33-point lead, a couple of Colts, Chase McLaughlin with 5 field goals, 20 points, although maybe the 5 field goals is part of the reason they got caught. They converted those into touchdowns. Maybe they win that game. I don't know. And the Colts defense, 7 sacks, 2 picks, a fumble recovery, a couple of touchdowns, 21 points there. So when you talk about who lost the game, I mean, they maybe have something to blame, but maybe not all the blame goes on the defense there.
No, I think Matt Ryan deserves Jeff Saturday and co deserve a lot of the blame as well.
I also think that game should have got 2 coaches fired. 1, Jeff Saturday for coughing up a lead. 2, Josh McDaniels, because you're still the only coach that has lost to Jeff Saturday so far. I think they just should have sealed both of your coaches' fates, but that's just me. Let's talk some top performers, though. Trevor Lawrence, you talked a little bit about him at the top of the show, but now is really solidly slotting into that QB1 spot where, as you mentioned, folks are saying, forget the matchup. We're just starting Trevor Lawrence anyway.
Yeah, like, I know the Jets are extremely hard matchup on paper, but the Cowboys, even as of right now, after what Lawrence did to them yesterday, have allowed less fantasy points to quarterbacks than the Jets did. And Jared Goff yesterday had a decent game against him. It would have been a lot better had he not underthrown Jameson Williams on what should have been a long touchdown. If that connects, we're not even, like, we're talking about Jared Goff potentially as one of the top scorers. So I think you continue to ride out with Trevor Lawrence. And kudos to you, Marcus, because you were the only person in this building that predicted that the Jaguars would go into Dallas and win that game.
You know what? I did have to take a little victory lap about that. We do the weekly predictions here, and everybody had the Cowboys. I decided to zig where others zagged, take the Jags, and I'm laughing a little bit on Monday morning. Dalvin Cook, I know he's been sort of underwhelming for long stretches of the year, but he was a guy that we both liked this week. And it took a little while for him to get going, but 95 rushing yards, 95 receiving yards, and a long touchdown catch and run. And this looks like the Dalvin Cook that people probably spent the top 5 draft pick on this year.
Yeah, and if you were able to make the fantasy playoffs, he gave you a huge output on Saturday, probably helped a ton of managers advance into the next round. And this is, look, I know he hasn't been exactly Dalvin Cook this season, but this is why with a big name like that, you just start them each and every week. You don't ever think twice.
You just put him back in the lineup because the ceiling is high for a guy like Dalvin Cook. And maybe this is the start of a run to get you through your fantasy postseason. Jalen Hurts, I mean, I don't know what to say about him other than he's just Jalen Hurts. And like I said, right now, even with Josh Allen having a big week, for me, Jalen Hurts is your fantasy MVP at this point.
I think he should be your real life MVP, even though I know Patrick Mahomes is getting a lot of attention there as well. So this season, he did it yesterday for the second time where he threw for over 300 passing yards, ran for over 50 yards, and had multiple rushing touchdowns in a game. He's the only player in NFL history to do so twice in one season. Steve Young is the only other player in NFL history to have 2 career games with those numbers in it. Like, this guy is a walking cheat code, and there's no, like, the whole world knows when they get on the 1 yard line, Jalen Hurts is running the ball, and no one can stop it.
It is much like, I mean, in the heyday of Tom Brady and the Patriots, same thing. They would run those sneaks from the goal line, and you knew it was coming, and they would still score touchdowns. And Jalen Hurts has sort of ascended to that level there. Fly, Eagles, fly. Midway through our day, as we were prepping for this show and everything else we do on Sundays, our producer, Hytham Kalani, put in our Slack channel that he was upset that he didn't start Latavius Murray. And I had only been halfway paying attention to the Cardinals and Broncos, and I went and looked at the box score and was like, oh, snap. Like, Latavius was having himself a day. 130 rushing yards and a touchdown. I mean, I know for some running backs that seems like, yeah, so what? But for Latavius Murray and that Broncos offense, that's a big deal. And I think he had a chance to really swing a lot of matchups for people who started him this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, I sat him everywhere I had him because I was like, no Russell Wilson. They're just going to keen in on the run. It didn't matter. 24 carries, $130, a touchdown. And that was with Marlon Mack still scoring a touchdown. So it depends on the matchup. Like, Latavius Murray is not a guy that you could just start every week. But next week against the Rams in what should be a competitive game, yeah, I definitely think Latavius Murray's in play. But also, start all your running backs against the Cardinals.
Start all your running backs against the Cardinals. I think you can start a lot of running backs against the Rams. And I'll tell you what, Latavius Murray has turned out to be a really good midseason pickup for the Broncos. Obviously, losing Javonte Williams hurts. They let go of Melvin Gordon. And Latavius Murray has stepped in there and done a pretty good job in an offense that has otherwise been pretty awful. Last one, it's a tight end. The Buffalo Bills tight end figured out how to really put things together when his team needed the most. It was Dawson's week. Okay, that's enough. But he had himself a day against the Dolphins. 6 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. And he's actually putting something together the last couple of weeks, which I had sort of given up on Dawson Knox, but it's nice to see him come back and be productive.
Yeah, I had him as a streaming option last week, but it was more about the matchup. He is playing better as of late. Next week, they get the Bears, though, and the Bears have been much better against tight ends than they have like receivers and running backs. So like, I don't think Dawson Knox is a must-start option or anything like that. It would depend on who your other options at tight end are.
It just, tight end continues to be a roll of the dice, and you hope that your guys can get a couple of targets, maybe a touchdown. But it was good to see Dawson Knox, who was a big fantasy favorite last year, step up in the start of the fantasy postseason. Those are the guys who were good. Who are the guys who were not? Who was your disappointment of the week?
Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, and pretty much all of the Chargers. I thought that was going to be the top stack of the week, and oof, I was wrong. 8.7 fantasy points for Justin Herbert. Quarterbacks who finished with more: Daniel Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, Sam Darnold, Taylor Heineke, Mitch Trubisky, Andy Dalton, Brock Purdy. I mean, just a who's who of like, these guys could all be backups at some point next season or something like that. It's been a very up and down year for Justin Herbert. I thought he was figuring it out. I kind of thought the theme of this season were going to be like the players who struggled early on for you were going to kind of win you your league late. And I thought Justin Herbert would be like the face of that. And if you had Justin Herbert this week, there's a good chance you got bounced.
That game was so weird because it was going back and forth, and I looked up and in the third quarter it was still 7-7. And I'm like, what is going on here? Just there were no points to be had in that game. I got a couple of them. One is Miles Sanders, who apparently must have gotten some angry tweets from gamblers and fantasy managers alike because he fired back on Twitter. Which, one, don't tweet at players when they have bad games. They know they had a bad game. They don't need to hear from you. But two, at some point, I'm also sort of over players firing back. Like, the whole conversation is just tiresome. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Miles Sanders looked like he had a great matchup against the Bears, and it just didn't happen. 1 catch for minus 13 yards. Gah! And lost a fumble. 42 rushing yards got you fewer than 2 points in what seemed like a smash spot against that Chicago run defense. I mean, I was all over Miles Sanders, said he was a must start this week, and he turned out to be anything but. So you might have been bounced from the playoffs there. Another guy who disappointed in a big way was Dalton Schultz. And I've been on record as saying I thought Dalton Schultz was going to be a fantasy playoff hero. Instead, he just has 2 catches for 15 yards, and it was Peyton Hendershot who catches the touchdown. In fact, Dak Prescott really did us no favors with the touchdown throws he had. 2 to Noah Brown, 1 to Peyton Hendershot. I do think CeeDee Lamb got in there once, so that at least sort of helped out a little bit. But otherwise, thanks, Dak, for not helping at all. So apparently me starting Miles Sanders and or Dalton Schultz was a rookie mistake, which gets us to rookie mistakes presented by Snickers. This is when we go to the Twitter machine. You tweet us at NFL Fantasy. Tell us about the things that went wrong in your lineup, and we tell you whether you had good process or if you were just out of your gourd for a few minutes there. So let's start with this one from Perry, who says, should have started Devonta Smith instead of Devontae Adams. Don't think that was crazy. I mean, why wouldn't you start Devontae? Although, why couldn't you have started both, I guess is the question.
I was going to say, I had Devontae Smith as a start, but you could ask me again this week, which one of these two should I start? It's Devontae Adams. Like, you never sit Devontae Adams. So I know this stinks for your season to end this way, but you can live with it.
You can live with it. I mean, you made the right decision if it had to come down to those two guys. You picked the right guy. It's just that the Raiders didn't do you any favors, nor did the Bears secondary. So, Perry, that one's not on you. You can, if it makes you feel any better, know that you made the right choice. Next one. This one coming from Andrew Holycross. Is that your real last name? That's awesome. Anyway, started Geno Smith over Kirk Cousins. Cost me my playoff game and season. You know what? At halftime, you probably thought you'd made the right decision.
Yeah.
You probably did.
For what it's worth, I mean, you could start listening to us a little bit more because we were talking Geno Smith as a sit. I had him as a sit. I know we talked about it a lot on the show, and we both like Kirk Cousins a lot.
I like Kirk Cousins over Geno Smith. I mean, I don't think it's a horrendous decision that you did that. I just wouldn't have wanted Geno on a short week against the 49ers defense. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to have a better game. I didn't realize Kirk was going to go from like negative 0.4 points to 32 or whatever it was at half. So, I would have gone Cousins, but I don't think you were terribly crazy off in making that decision, Andrew. Let's see. Moving on. Curdy, thinking the Bills defense was going to actually do something other than give up a gang of points in the snow. Well, in your defense, it didn't snow for like 3 quarters. I don't know if that helps at all.
This is a mistake that I think a lot of fantasy managers have been making. The Bills' defense is way too highly rostered and started. Like, they are not a good defensive unit. They're super banged up, but they've been getting ran all over. They've struggled on third downs, which lead to a lot of points. Like, I had them as a sit against Miami. This week against the Bears, maybe, because the Bears just give up a bunch of production to defenses. But the Bills should not be just treated like a weekly must-start.
I think everybody's still remembering last year's Bills defense, which was lights out, even though they had some injuries last year too. But I think people looked at last year's Bills defense and thought, oh yeah, that's a really, really good defense. And not realizing after a while that, no, this isn't the same. It's not the same unit. They've had injuries. They've been getting, as you mentioned, run over. I mean, I guess maybe you thought the weather was going to have an impact, which, side note, we could talk about this in the offseason. Maybe we should stop trying to bank on weather, too, because we don't do a good job at that.
Nope, at all.
I mean, we have a hard enough time predicting players. Let's not predict weather.
Who tweeted it, but they were like, no one's ever made a good lineup decision based on weather.
No, seriously.
It's true.
You never really have. Last one. Adriana starting Freiermuth over Ingram. One and done in the playoffs. Lost by 0.5. Oof.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's a terrible decision. I mean, I think Ingram had I don't know if it was a great matchup, but Freiermuth I thought had a decent matchup too. I don't know.
I probably would have played Ingram. Like, I had him as a start, but I can't blame anyone for starting Freiermuth, who's been getting so much volume. Losing by 0.5, no matter what decision you made, is going to hurt.
When you lose by 0.5, you analyze every single roster decision you made, and you're like, I could have switched this.
A couple years ago, I lost a championship by 0.4. I still think about it.
Yeah. So I feel your pain, Adriana. I'm sure that's one you're just going to sit with all offseason. There's nothing I can tell you that's going to make that a whole lot better. What I can tell you to hopefully make your life better is that we're going to talk some waiver wire picks, help you replenish that roster if you are still competing for your championship. That's after the break on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. It's time for Refresh Your Lineup presented by Subway. We have made it to week 16. Who are the waiver wire targets for the week?
Couple of New York quarterbacks if you're in need of a streaming option. Daniel Jones in a great matchup against Minnesota. Mike White if he's able to suit up in a great matchup against the Jags. Some running backs. Obviously, Jerick McKinnon needs to be picked up right now. Zach Moss and Deion Jackson each should be picked up with a good matchup next week against the Chargers. Tyler Algier is actually the running back I feel more confident in right now in Atlanta. And then James Cook continues to just get some more run, has a good matchup next week. Some pass catchers. Darius Slayton because of the matchup. Chris Moore because of all the volume, plus the matchup against the Titans. Jahan Dotson has been doing more as of late, but he gets a tough matchup. Treylon Burks, don't forget about him. He was playing great before he got injured. Richie James, again, just a deeper option because of the matchup. Russell Gage, if you're going real deep at receiver. And then Jawan Johnson, who came back, scored 2 touchdowns. I think people forgot how well he has been playing. And Chig Okonkwo against the Texans, if you're going a little bit deeper at tight end.
So there you go. There are some of the options there. If you want a little bit more in depth, you can check out Matt Okada's weekly waiver wire column at NFL.com/waiver wire. But let's talk about some of these guys. Jerick McKinnon, I mentioned the Chiefs have 2 usable running backs, but Jerick McKinnon suddenly looks like the guy there. He's running the football. He's catching the football. I think he's the clear running back 1 in Kansas City.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, pending Monday Night Football, unless Aaron Jones or Cam Akers or someone goes off tonight, he's going to finish as the RB1 in 2 straight weeks with at least 32 fantasy points in each game. So when you're getting production like that, I mean, yeah, the floor might not be the safest, but you just obviously got to start this guy.
You got to start this guy at this point. Plus, he's in a very good offense, so you know that the Chiefs are going to move the ball. They're going to score points, which always gives him an opportunity to be super productive there and just really doing a good job with the opportunities he's been given. And I always say this, we can figure out a 2-man backfield. It's when it becomes a 3-man backfield that things get a little bit messy. So as long as it's just McKinnon and Pacheco, I think we're fine there. KJ Osborne, I mean, I don't know if it was lost in what the Vikings did on Saturday with their huge comeback, but KJ Osborne was such a huge part of it. 157 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, this seems like a bit of an anomaly, but, I mean, real talk, is he worth rostering in the sense that can he start to earn more targets in this offense?
I think he's okay to roster right now to say, like, hey, I want to put him on my bench, see if he can build off of this game. I'd have a hard time trusting him, though, in a must-win playoff game next week. He had more targets against the Colts this week than he did in his last 4 games combined. So, like, I like Osborne. I like what he's doing. I think he's a better real-life piece for the Vikings, but I don't know if I could start him against the Giants.
I just think right now it's hard for the Vikings to continually sustain that many options in the passing game. Justin Jefferson's always going to get his. TJ Hawkinson is going to get a whole lot. You know, that's why I think you've got sort of Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne battling for targets when Dalvin Cook's still going to get some as well. So it was nice to see that. I don't know that I'm banking on him in the fantasy playoffs. You mentioned Tyler Algier as the Falcons running back that you trust. Yes, Cordero Patterson scored a touchdown, but it is Algier that's getting a lot of work there.
Yeah, like they split the snaps pretty much evenly. This is what we've been seeing now for the last month or so. And Algier had more carries, 17 to 14. He also had a target, but he did so much more with his production, with his opportunities, 139 yards and a touchdown compared to just 52 yards and a touchdown for Patterson. And that's the thing. Ever since Patterson's returned, he's really struggled yardage-wise. Like, coming into this game, he was averaging less than 10 receiving yards per game. Since he came back, he was averaging like 50 rushing yards per game. Tyler Algier, though, is much more explosive and doing a whole lot more.
Yeah, he's been that guy that's just been kind of hanging around this offense for a while now and starting to get those opportunities a lot more frequently. We know the Falcons want to run the football, so that certainly gives him a little bit more upside in that offense. Next one is Russell Gage, and coming into the year, I liked Russell Gage as a sleeper, and it never quite took for a variety of reasons. And I don't know that necessarily you're counting on Russell Gage, but a pretty good game, a couple of touchdowns. Mike Evans still really can't find the end zone. I don't know that I trust the Bucs offense a whole lot, but Gage at least had a good week this week.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't trust the Bucs, but this is like purely for deep league players because Julio Jones is out right now with an injury, so Russell Gage is the wide receiver 3 there. Again, in like a 12-team league, I would want no part of him, but anything deeper than that, you're just looking for guys who are getting volume, and he got it.
That's kind of what you want there, but the Bucs offense really is not a thing that we can trust this year, which is sort of weird to say about a Tom Brady offense. Last one, you mentioned Juwan Johnson, who I had been liking. I'd been calling him a sleeper for a while, though I think at some point he just became a starter because he was getting so much volume. Back, the 4 catches, a couple of touchdowns. Just a reminder that in a world where we want tight end production, he's been giving it to us on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, I sat him in a league for Chig Okonkwo, and it cost me. I ended up getting blown out anyway, but it would have cost me the week. And I went back and I was like, yeah, I think people forgot how well Johnson was playing. Like 2 touchdowns yesterday, over 22 fantasy points. But in 4 of his 5 games prior to getting injured, he was over 12 fantasy points with a touchdown in those 4 games. So, yeah, he's a little bit boom or bust if he doesn't get you a touchdown. The floor isn't super high, but not many tight ends bring a safe floor, and he at least brings a high ceiling.
He really does. So, Juwan Johnson, if you're still looking for tight ends or if you're playing DFS, as a name that you should be remembering when you're trying to fill that tight end. If you are adding players, you are also probably dropping some players. So, who are a couple guys that folks can wave bye-bye to?
Matt Ryan, because he was in play last week because of the matchup, and he didn't do a whole lot with it. He was like outside of the top 20 quarterbacks. If you didn't play well against the Vikings, you're not playing him this week against the Chargers, even though that might look appealing. And then Greg Dulcich, who got the Arizona Cardinals the best possible matchup you can get for a tight end, and he did next to nothing with it. 1 catch, 11 yards, 2.1 fantasy points. If you can't start him and get production out of him against the Cardinals, that's it. Like, these guys who are streaming options, they're probably going to continue to be rostered because the teams that stream them probably lost. But if you got by, drop them.
Yeah, I think this is the week where you start to maybe take a lot of those roster percentages with a grain of salt because there's probably a lot of teams that, like, whatever, I'm done. There's no point in me dropping anybody at this point. For me, Michael Carter is a guy you can probably drop just because he played a lot of snaps. He didn't get a lot of touches. He actually played the majority of the running back snaps for the Jets on Sunday, but had 5 total touches. And the matchups don't look great the rest of the way. It seems like this is going to be Bam Knight's opportunity in the backfield. And even if something were to happen tonight with no teams on bye the rest of the way, there are probably a lot of other running backs out there that you are willing to start and play ahead of Michael Carter right now in this Jets offense. And Taysom Hill, who I know he threw a touchdown pass. He's still rostered in like 60-something% of NFL.com leagues. And I'm like, why? Why? Because the ceiling is incredibly low. Like, maybe you get a hit where he gets you double-digit fantasy points, but you're not starting him unless you're in like a 24-team league. Like, I don't understand why he's still on rosters other than people are just trolling other people in the league. I don't get it.
I had a friend who was like, Taysom Hill, I need upside. Should I play him? And I was like, no. And then he threw a touchdown. Luckily, I told my friend to play Dawson Knox.
So there you go. So it worked out.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. There's too much risk, not enough reward to play Taysom Hill. You don't have to have him on your roster. We are going to spin ahead to next season, though. Coming up, play some Real or Mirage and let you know whether or not there's some players that you should be targeting when you next get ready to draft a fantasy team. That's coming up after the break on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. NFL Plus is here, which means no matter where you are, this is how you football. You can stream live, local, and primetime games on your phone or tablet, 45-minute game replays with NFL Plus Premium, and more. This is the NFL for every fan. This is football freedom. This is your game on the go. Go to plus.nfl.com and sign up now. We're going to play some Real or Mirage. You know how this works. We make a statement. We decide whether it is real or Mirage, but with a twist. We are going to spin it forward to 2023 based on what we have seen so far in 2022, and I'll let you know whether or not the things are real or Mirage. So let's start with Jonathan Taylor, who was the consensus 1.01 this past year, and I think we all agree was a disappointment in that regard. Now it looks like he's done for the rest of the season. So real or Mirage, Jonathan Taylor is the first overall pick again in 2023.
Mirage. He will be a first-round pick, but I don't even think he'll be in consideration for the first overall pick. I think we'll see like Austin Eckler, in that discussion. I think we'll see Christian McCaffrey in that discussion again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see like Justin Jefferson or one of the wide receivers also creep into that conversation. I'm not even sure if Jonathan Taylor goes top 5 off the board, but he will be a first-round pick.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to sink to sort of the latter part of the first round, but he will still be a first-round pick. But the thought of him being the 1.01 again is absolutely a mirage. Some of it has to do, I think, with the offense as a whole. The offensive line is just not the same, and people have long memories. They're not very forgiving in fantasy football.
I can't wait for the is Jonathan Taylor injury prone conversations that people are going to have all summer long. Spoiler alert, they're all injury prone and they play a violent game.
There's going to be that, or the Jonathan Taylor overrated. Did we overrate Jonathan Taylor after the first year? That's going to happen too. Real or mirage? Deontay Johnson will never score again.
Mirage, but man, is this starting to feel real. Like we're heading into week 16. This guy has like 120 targets and he doesn't have a touchdown. He really might finish the year though. Like he might break the record most targets without a touchdown in a single season. But I have to hope in his career he catches a touchdown again.
I think he's going to catch one again. So I do think this is a mirage. But I did have to laugh when I saw it because it's like, well, I had to think about this for a second. But yeah, he's going to. He's too good. He gets too many targets, too many opportunities. He is going to score a touchdown at some point. Maybe it is this year. Who knows? But it is sort of mind-boggling that he's gone this far and has not found his way into the end zone. So that is an absolute mirage. Next one. Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback next year. Real or mirage?
I'm going to go with mirage. I think I want this to be real. Geno is playing so great. This also kind of feels like the best case scenario for Geno Smith right now. Also, like Seattle has a really tough decision to make. Do they want to draft a quarterback because they're going to have a very early pick, getting that pick from the Broncos? Or are they going to extend Geno Smith? We don't know really where he's going to be playing. I'm going to say mirage, but I kind of hope I'm wrong on this one.
I mean, it would be fun if it's real, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a mirage. You know, Drew Lock is still there. Do they bring Geno back? Do they draft somebody? Again, I say this, the Seahawks sort of backed into this. This was not their plan. It just has worked out in an amazing way for them. Although with the Seahawks also fading down the stretch right now, you do wonder, what sort of things they do to retool this offense. So I think it's a mirage. If he is around though, I think he's drafted maybe top 12, but I don't know if he's a top 10 quarterback.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back though.
Yeah, he's still not writing back, but we'll see if we're writing back, writing him next season, something like that. Anyway, more Steelers wide receiver talk here. George Pickens will be a top 15 wide receiver next year. Real or mirage?
I think this is real. I am super bullish on George Pickens. I loved him coming into this season, and he has shown flashes as to why. Like, I truly believe that this guy can be an alpha wide receiver one of the best receivers in the game. And on like a weekly basis, he kind of shows us why I think that way with some of the plays he makes. He just has to get a little bit more consistent. The offense needs to be able to get him consistently the ball. I think that's the bigger thing. But yesterday I tweeted, like, I can't wait to watch this guy develop. And someone was like, yeah, I think he already has developed. It's more on the quarterback. And I'm like, yeah, it's more on the quarterback. But this guy is still only getting better. And that is a scary thought.
I'm going to say mirage, but I think mostly because of the quarterback play. I think that's going to sort of hold him back right now. I don't think it's an ability thing. I think it's just a situational thing for him. Plus, you talk about wide receiver being as deep as it has ever been, and chances are we're going to have some guys that come in this rookie class who can make an impact this coming year. So I think he's outside of the top 15, but I think he is ascending. The arrow is certainly pointing up for George Pickens heading into next year. Last one. Garrett Wilson is a wide receiver one. This one feels kind of easy for me.
This is real. I'm not sure if he'll be drafted as a wide receiver one, although the fantasy community does fall in love with young players, so and especially ones that they love to hype up, which Garrett Wilson checks off all of those boxes. He's currently the wide receiver 18 in a season that he was a rookie, obviously, and where he's had bad quarterback play for much of it. I think the Jets are going to address the quarterback position in the offseason because they're a playoff team if they do. And if they do, say they get a veteran, maybe Geno Smith or Derek Carr, someone like that. Even say they run it back with Mike White and not Zach Wilson. I just think there's a clear path for him to be a wide receiver.
I think this is real. And, even if it's Zach Wilson. What we saw of Zach Wilson on Sunday, now granted it was against the Lions defense, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it gave me a little bit of hope. But I just think that Garrett Wilson has shown enough that he is the wide receiver one on this team, and he's going to get a heavy target share going forward. Now, hopefully, the quarterback play does improve, because then that makes me feel a lot better about it. But I still think that even if, for whatever reason, the Jets decide to go back to Zach Wilson, that there's still wide receiver one possibility in play for Garrett Wilson.
Yesterday was Zach Wilson's season, and it's like a microcosm. Like, he had some plays where you're like, wow, I see why the Jets like him. And then he had others where you were like, I see why he got benched.
Right, exactly. So it's the, it's a tale of two quarterbacks. It was the best of throws. It was the worst of throws. All of that. We got one more segment to do. We're going to give some love to some players who maybe didn't get it elsewhere in the show. It's the Madden Movers as we wrap things up on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. It's the season for miracles, and for the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, NFL Network is celebrating with a rematch for the ages. The Las Vegas Raiders play the Pittsburgh Steelers live in primetime this Christmas Eve. The Holiday Classic, December 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus. Time for Madden Movers as we wrap things up here on the show. Which players do we think deserve a Madden ratings boost from what they did over the weekend? Like I always say, it's a chance for us to shout out some guys who had big weeks that we couldn't fit elsewhere in the program. So who do you think deserves some love on the Madden side?
Joshua Kelly, I know he didn't have a massive stat line, but he carried the ball 10 times. He found the end zone, and there was a scare in this game where Austin Eckler left, went in the medical tent, missed a drive, was standing on the sideline with his helmet off. And it was like, oh, man, what if Austin Eckler misses time? Joshua Kelly came in and clearly got all of the work there. This is just another reminder that you want your top running backs handcuffs, because something like Eckler could miss time. Jonathan Taylor's out now. Like, you want these guys on your roster just in case.
Absolutely, you do. And I said this earlier in the season, a thing that I had heard from Daniel Jeremiah, who the radio voice of the Chargers, that Josh Kelly just looked more like he's understanding what is asked of him and what the NFL game is. There were times last year where he looked like a rookie, he looked like a young player, and really struggled. But now he looks like a different, more confident running back, and it's good to see him, especially in getting that opportunity coming up on this past Sunday. I mentioned Noah Brown because while it worked out for the Cowboys, it was frustrating for fantasy managers watching Noah Brown catch a couple of touchdowns. But shout out to him for having himself a day. 49 yards, pair of scores in that one. He was a guy who was a deep sleeper, I think, for a lot of people coming into the season. And look, you weren't expecting a lot of big blow-up weeks for Noah Brown. In fact, I'm sure outside of the deepest of leagues or dynasty leagues, I don't know that anybody really has Noah Brown, and I'm sure few, if anybody, played him in season-long leagues this week. But it just goes to show the Cowboys do have at least a couple of guys who can catch the football, even if they were dabbling in the OBJ market just a couple of weeks ago. And Noah Brown did some nice things. Still not picking him up, though.
Yeah, not picking him up, but I think Noah Brown maybe was feeling the heat from T.Y.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Being in Dallas, so maybe. There was one touchdown, though, where Dalton Schultz was wide open, and Dak just chose to throw it to Noah Brown. And it's like, come on, you couldn't give us one?
You could have helped us out, Dak. I forgot that they signed Eugene Marquis Hilton over the past week.
I did not know that was his full name.
Yeah, that's his actual name. I'm not sure where T.Y. came from. I think it's like a nickname or something.
Okay.
Yeah, something. Otherwise, Chuba Hubbard. I was big on Deontay Foreman. He was one of my big disappointments of the week, too. But Chuba Hubbard had himself a decent day.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard had 4 carries for 10 yards yesterday, and that led the Panthers in rushing yards. But where he really made his impact was in the receiving game. 3 catches for 57 yards. Only DJ Moore had more receiving yards. And Chuba Hubbard isn't someone that I think you want to pick up and start. But I do think he's like a quality bench running back right now that maybe you want to prevent someone else from picking up, or that you just want just in case, some of your other players miss time or something like that. Again, it's not ideal to be starting him, but he's just a depth piece right now.
Definitely a depth piece. And it's kind of a reminder that I felt like, a reminder for me, I should say, that I felt like that's where the Panthers wanted to go with their running game a few weeks ago, but I stubbornly stuck with this idea that Deontay Foreman was going to get more opportunities, and I think yesterday was that reminder for me that Chuba Hubbard, I'm not going to say he's the future in the Carolina backfield, but given the choice between Hubbard and Foreman, it seems like Carolina wants to go the Hubbard route. Last one, CJ Uzama, who's a guy who used to show up all the time as kind of a streaming option, especially when he was with the Bengals. We haven't talked much about him because Tyler Conklin was getting a lot of that tight end work in New York to start the season. But a good day for Uzama with a pair of touchdowns from Zach Wilson. I don't know if this means anything or if this was Zach Wilson throwing to a guy that maybe he throws to in practice because he's sort of the number 2 tight end. But hey, that was great. If you played CJ Uzama in DFS, congrats to you. We're not playing CJ Uzama again.
No. I would sit Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzama this week.
Yeah, I'd stay away from the Jets tight ends at this point. The Jets have not had a consistently good tight end in my lifetime, at least for fantasy purposes. So congrats, though, to you, CJ Uzama, for having yourself a pretty good day on Sunday. Of course, if you subscribe to this show, and we certainly hope you do, you should like, you should subscribe, you should comment. All those things certainly help us out in terms of our visibility and our ratings and spreading our message to the world at large. But you subscribe to this, you get 5 days worth of content in your podcast feed. So that's this show, it's the Q&A show, it's the Start Sit show. And you can find us in the NFL Fantasy app, the NFL Fast channels, and on youtube.com/NFL Fantasy Football. In the meantime, for us, that is it. We are done. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. Try the Subway Series menu, your pick of 12 irresistible subs. You know the drill. Tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Rate, review, and remember, one day, you're going to make the onions cry. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.